The movie opens in a quiet, modest northern Irish suburb, where a soft yet unnerving tension hangs in the air. Laura, a grieving mother portrayed by Andrea Riseborough, lives with her husband Brendan and teenage son Taj. We learn early on that the family is still quietly devastated by the loss of their daughter Josie, who died years ago. Laura's sadness isn't explosive, it simmers just beneath the surface, haunting every silence and moment of routine. Their lives take a subtle turn when a new family moves in next door. Marie, a carefree young woman, arrives with her partner Chris and their daughter Megan. Megan is an imaginative little girl with a mysterious energy about her, calm, curious, and oddly perceptive. She immediately captures Laura's attention when she begins saying strange things that feel all too familiar. In an early moment of unsettling déjà vu, Megan insists that she's been here before. Laura dismisses it at first, assuming it's just a child's playful fantasy. But when Megan casually mentions specific details about Laura's late daughter, things she couldn't possibly know, Laura's skepticism begins to crack. As the days go by, Megan grows increasingly attached to Laura, and Laura in turn starts seeing echoes of Josie and Megan. Her smile, her laugh, her mannerisms. Even Tatjev, Laura's son, becomes uncomfortable with the way his mother seems to be replacing the memory of his sister with this neighbor girl. Brendan tries to keep Laura grounded, but she continues slipping into obsession. At school, Megan draws pictures that eerily resemble Josie's old drawings. During a visit to the park, she leads Laura to a specific tree and says, "This is where I used to play." The statement hits Laura like a thunderclap. Josie did play at that tree. Megan even knows about Josie's favorite toy, a stuffed rabbit long since packed away. Laura begins to research reincarnation and the possibility that Megan is her daughter reborn. Meanwhile, Marie becomes visibly uncomfortable with how much time Megan spends with Laura. Tension rises between the two women, especially as Laura's behavior becomes more possessive and erratic. At home, Laura rummages through old photo albums and videos, comparing Megan's gestures with those of Josie. The resemblance, at least to Laura, becomes undeniable. But rather than feeling comforted, she grows more haunted. Megan is not Josie, but what if a part of her is? In one particularly haunting scene, Laura dreams of Josie drowning. The dream seems too vivid to be imaginary, as if some part of Megan's mind is replaying it. Laura wakes up in a panic and checks on Megan, almost forgetting her place as a neighbor and not her mother. Brendan, increasingly frustrated, urges Laura to let go. He reminds her of the years they've spent grieving and healing, but Laura refuses to accept the rational explanation. There's a reason Megan came into their lives, she insists, and she won't stop until she finds out what it is. Laura's growing fixation on Megan starts to consume her. She begins following the girl more closely, walking her home from school, watching her from the window, and even recording her voice in secret. She tells herself she's protecting Megan, but in truth, she's chasing the ghost of her daughter through this little girl's every word. At one point, Megan draws a picture of her old house, and when Laura asks about it, Megan describes details of the home Laura lived in before Josie died. These eerie moments mount, and Laura's internal world begins to blur with memory. She becomes increasingly convinced that Megan is not just channeling Josie, she is Josie. Meanwhile, Marie is noticeably disturbed. She starts avoiding Laura and becomes more protective of Megan. She confronts Laura about the time spent with her daughter, warning her to keep boundaries. But Laura, firm in her belief that some larger force is at play, refuses to back off. She even lies to Brendan, saying Marie asked her to help look after Megan, which Brendan finds suspicious. Laura's relationship with her own son Taj begins to crumble. He feels forgotten, pushed to the side while his mother obsesses over another child. In a painful moment, he confronts Laura, asking, "What about me?" But Laura can't hear him over the voice in her head whispering that her daughter has returned. The real cracks begin to show when Laura sneaks into Marie's house one day under the pretense of dropping something off. While Marie is upstairs, Laura wanders the rooms and finds a photo album on a shelf. She opens it and freezes. Inside are photographs of Megan as a toddler, the same age Josie was when she died. But what disturbs Laura most is a photo of Megan standing in a field. In the background is a park Laura used to take Josie to, an area Marie should have no connection to. Laura steals the photograph. Later, she asks Brendan if he recognizes it. He looks at her with concern and says she's seeing things that aren't there. "You want her to be Josie, so you're convincing yourself it's true," he tells her. But Laura is past the point of doubt. Megan, meanwhile, starts to behave more strangely. She tells her mother she wants to live with Laura. She draws pictures of Josie's grave. She even speaks to Laura in a tone eerily similar to Josie's. "You remember the red boots?" Megan asks. "Josie loved those boots." Laura is stunned. She tries to confront Marie directly. Marie lashes out, saying Megan is a sensitive child and Laura is filling her head with stories. But in the heat of the argument, a deeper secret starts to emerge. Laura realizes that Marie isn't just a stranger. She's someone from the past. In one chilling exchange, Marie accidentally lets slip something about Josie's death. Laura accuses her. "You knew Josie, didn't you?" Marie freezes. For the first time, her expression reveals guilt. Soon after, Brendan and Laura argue violently. He accuses her of losing her mind, of bringing chaos into their healing. Laura responds by confronting him. She suspects that Brendan and Marie may have had a relationship in the past. Her paranoia reaches a fever pitch. "You knew," she says to Brendan. "You knew they moved in next door and said nothing." At this point, Laura is unraveling. She visits the cemetery alone and breaks down in front of Josie's grave. She begins to suspect something much darker is at play. Not just fate or reincarnation, but a conspiracy. In a desperate move, Laura takes Megan out of school and brings her to the old home Josie grew up in. There, Megan runs inside and moves about with eerie familiarity. She walks into Josie's old bedroom and lies on the floor. "This is where I was," she whispers. Laura, trembling, asks her what happened the day Josie died. And Megan, now calm, distant, says, "I remember falling." Laura sits frozen in the old bedroom, staring at Megan. The girl seems eerily calm, as if she's not just remembering a story but reliving it. "I remember falling," Megan says again, her voice distant. Laura clutches her chest, her breath ragged. The idea that Josie's death, believed to be accidental, could have been witnessed, or even remembered by this girl, is too much. She begins to cry, asking Megan to tell her more. But Megan doesn't elaborate. Instead, she looks at Laura with a sad, knowing expression, as though she understands everything. Laura's grief, her need for answers, and her desperation to believe. But then the fantasy starts to break. Brendan tracks them down. Furious and frightened, he bursts into the house and demands to know what Laura is doing. He calls the police, and the moment is shattered. Megan looks frightened now, just a child again, and Laura's trance is broken. She realizes what she's done, taking someone else's child, chasing delusions. She releases Megan into Brendan's arms, lost and defeated. Back at home, Brendan demands that Laura get help. Marie, furious and terrified, refuses to let Laura near Megan again. The community begins to murmur. What once seemed like quiet mourning has turned into something dangerously unhinged. But Laura can't stop digging. Her obsession with finding the truth about Josie's death leads her back to the past, and to a memory she's long buried. Through scattered flashbacks, we see glimpses of Josie's final day. The family was at a picnic near a cliffside. Josie ran off to play, as she often did. Laura turned away for a moment, just a moment, and Josie was gone. Her body was found at the bottom of the cliff. It was ruled an accident. No one could say otherwise. But now, with Megan echoing Josie's final words, "I remember falling," Laura begins to question everything again. In a final confrontation, she corners Marie and demands the truth. "You were there," Laura says. "Back then, at the picnic, weren't you?" Marie breaks. She admits what she's kept secret for years. Yes, she was there. She had known Brendan intimately. They'd had an affair. She and her partner Chris had taken a trip to the coast that same weekend, and she saw Brendan with his family, Laura and Josie. Marie's daughter Megan had been conceived not long after. The devastating implication settles over Laura like ice. Megan might not just remind her of Josie, she might be Brendan's daughter, her husband's child from an affair that took place while Josie was still alive. That's why Megan knows the park, the tree, the red boots. Not because she's Josie reincarnated, but because Brendan told Marie those details. Or maybe Marie saw it all unfold. The memories aren't supernatural, they're passed down. In a sick twist, Megan may be echoing fragments of Josie's life that were never meant to be shared. And then Marie delivers the final blow. That day by the cliffs, Marie saw Brendan chasing after Josie. They had been arguing earlier, and Brendan had snapped. Marie says she looked away at the crucial moment, but when she turned back, Josie was gone. Laura reels. Could Brendan have pushed Josie? Did he cause her death? The movie leaves it ambiguous. We don't see Brendan admit anything. We don't see a confession. But Laura's mind floods with doubt, rage, and guilt. Her memories can't be trusted anymore. What was once tragic but simple, an accident, now feels layered with betrayal, deceit, and unresolved pain. In the film's final moments, Laura stands at the cliffside where Josie died. She looks down at the sea, wind whipping her hair, and closes her eyes. There's no peace, no closure, only the overwhelming realization that the past has never stopped haunting her, and perhaps never will. Behind her, life continues. Megan, still just a child, walks away with her mother, unaware of the storm she helped awaken.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.